Are you just starting out in chess and do you want to learn a chess opening? Then definitely keep on watching this video because I'm very excited to announce that today I will explain a chess opening for beginners, which can be played with both colors, which is also very simple and easy to remember. It's objectively good and you can make the same moves almost all the time regardless of what your opponent does. So let's first talk a bit about the general goals in the opening. So in a chess opening, your goals are to develop your pieces, to castle, to put the king to safety and to connect the rooks, and also to control the center of the board. Also, if possible, you want to prevent your opponent from reaching these goals. So these opening goals sound easy in theory, but in practice, you should know a lot more. So when you're developing pieces, actually you want to develop the knights and the bishops first. Also, you don't want to bring out your queen too early because you run risk of losing your queen, and also your opponent can attack your queen and gain extra time to reach his opening goals. Also, you don't want to move pieces that you have already developed again, since in this case, pieces which are not developed yet would stay undeveloped. So you should aim to eventually develop all your pieces, and this can take a lot of time. For the opening goal of castling, especially for beginners level, it's very important that you try to accomplish this goal as soon as possible and castle as early as possible. Because when I'm watching games of players who are just starting out in chess, it happens so often that their king gets stuck in the middle and they are under attack, they don't know what to do, their pieces are not coordinating, and they lose the game. And what's actually something that we should remember about castling is actually that castling is a very magical and powerful move. It's the only move in the game of chess where we can move two pieces at the same time. And with castling, we can simply bring our king to safety and we can, connect our rook, make our position more harmonious. So it's definitely something that we want to accomplish as early as possible. Also, you have to prepare a castle. So when you're going for a short castle, you should make sure that you get your bishop and knight developed first to be able to castle. And for a long castle, you even need to get out your queen, bishop, and knight to be able to castle. So your other opening goal was to control the center. And you can see the center as the four squares exactly in the middle of the chessboard. And you would like to put your pawns in the center and also prevent your opponent from putting his pawns in the center. So let's have a look right now at this opening idea. So the main idea is that almost regardless of what our opponent plays, we will play the moves knight f3, g3, bishop g2, and we will make a castle. So right now we are contributing to all the opening goals because first of all we develop this knight, and we develop this bishop. So we are developing. Also, this knight is actually controlling the center. So it's preventing black from putting a pawn on e5 and also supporting the central square on d4. And we reach the castling part, which is very important to make sure that our king is safe. So in case we would have reached this stage of the game, then it will be time for us to develop our other pieces as well. So we want to develop the bishop on c1, the knight on b1, and we want to move forward the pawns. So, well, you probably already wonder like what is he doing? Like black can also make moves, right? We cannot just always play the same. It wouldn't work out for us. And that's of course true, but it would work out a lot of times. So we only have to switch from our approach once our opponent is playing pawn to e5. When he's playing pawn to e5 on move 1, okay, right now we simply capture the e1 pawn. So black shouldn't do that. But whenever black prepares the move d5, or sorry, the move e5, he can do that by playing either knight c6 or playing d6. Then if we would play g3, black could play e5. And this is annoying because if we continue with our normal plan, then black could kick away our knight, and we don't really have good squares. We don't really want this. So this is something that we should avoid. So after knight f3, knight c6, here we want to play the move d4, which is also putting a pawn in the center, preparing for your bishop to develop, but it controls this square on e5 one more time. So if your opponent plays e5, we can simply capture the pawn. And once we have reached this position, we can still later on continue with our next plan to still go g3, bishop g2, and short castle. And this is really the only thing that black can do where we have to deviate from our plan. Um, so only when black is preparing the move e5, we should deviate from our plan. So this is, for example, also the case after knight f3, d6, and we also play d4 to prevent e5. So let's have a look right now at how this idea would work from the black side. So actually our plan is still to do absolutely the same thing, just to go knight f6, g6, bishop g7, and short castle. However, right now we can encounter one specific problem that we didn't have when we are playing white. So white could play the move 1 e4, and we cannot prevent it, of course. So if white plays 1 e4, you don't really want to go knight f6 because white can again chase away your knight. So here, if our pawn plays 1 e4, we first include this other move, d6. And our idea is simply to try to capture this pawn on e5 when our opponent would advance our pawn to e5. So right now we play d6. We are ready to do our exact same plan and play knight f6 next, g6, bishop g7, and short castle. So actually, you may wonder what would happen if white would play d4, supporting this e5 push to chase away your knight. So right now, actually, knight f6 can still be played. So when white would attack you with e5, you can simply capture this pawn. After a recapture, you can capture the queen with check. The king captures, and right now you have a nice trick with black. And black is better here because you play knight g4 and you attack the pawn on f2, the pawn on e5, and you are winning a pawn. So white can simply not stop this, and white simply has to allow you to play g6, bishop g7, and short castle. So there's also an option where white would first defend this pawn with the knight. After g6, if the e5 push would come now, we would have the same thing. So we can capture, white should recapture, we can capture the queen, and then, well, after this we can move our knight with a double attack. So this is not a good option for white. If white prepares the e5 push with the move f4, it's nothing to be afraid of, because also with the move d6, we didn't only make sure that we can capture a pawn on e5, but right now we also have this square for our knight to escape to, and we can still make a castle. So actually, yeah, white can also not prevent us from making all the moves to prepare the castle and from developing two of our pieces. Yeah, you can use this method for white as well as for black. Remember that whenever you reached the opening stage where you also, made this castle, you developed the two pieces. Then after you would like to counter in the center, so you would like to play a move like c5 to counter this pawn, and you would want to develop your other pieces as well. So thank you for watching this video.